Welcome to Cheetah Secrets. Let's jump straight into today's story. 6 years, that's how long Rachel and I were a couple. We never made it official with marriage, but our lives were completely intertwined. We split bills, shared savings accounts, planned everything together. The house, though, was legally mine. It happened on a Thursday morning. I was standing in the kitchen, waiting for the coffee to finish brewing, when she leaned back against the counter and casually dropped the words, "I think we should take some time apart." I didn't respond immediately. I slowly turned toward her. "Time apart?" I echoed. She crossed her arms and nodded. "Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I'm disappearing in this relationship. I need to rediscover who I am." I didn't argue or raise my tone. I've always believed silence reveals more than shouting ever could. "All right," I said calmly. Her eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "If you want distance, that's fine. But you're not doing your self-discovery under this roof." She looked stunned. "Griffin, seriously? You're not even going to talk this through?" "You already made your choice," I replied. "I'm just respecting it." She stood there as if waiting for me to cave. I didn't. Within 15 minutes, she was shoving clothes into a bag and moving down the hallway. I didn't ask where she planned to go. When she reached the front door, she paused, maybe hoping I'd stop her, maybe expecting tears, an argument, something dramatic. Instead, I opened the door. "Take care, Rachel." She walked out without saying anything. The next morning, I was up at 6. I made my coffee, went to the gym, and came home to answer work emails. Her absence didn't leave a gaping emotional wound. It simply removed a complication. That Saturday, my sister Sarah called. "She actually left?" "Yep." "And you're fine?" I looked out the window. "What's there to panic about?" She went quiet. "Sarah knows me. I don't chase. I don't beg. I don't perform heartbreak." That same weekend, John, a close friend from childhood, stopped by to check on me. We sat outside, mostly silent at first. He kept studying my face, probably waiting for cracks to appear. Eventually, he asked if I was okay. I told him I was. He pushed a little, like he thought I was pretending. So I explained it simply. She asked for space. I gave it to her. I'm not pursuing someone who isn't sure they want to stay. John leaned back, nodded, and didn't press further. There were brief moments, glancing at her empty side of the bed, reaching for my phone before remembering there wouldn't be a message. But I didn't let it snowball. Instead, I returned to the boxing gym. I hadn't been in years, but the muscle memory came back instantly. The first session on the heavy bag brought more mental clarity than I'd felt in months. She never reached out. No calls. No texts. Not once. That told me everything. I wasn't the comfort she missed, I was the safety net she assumed would always be there. But I was already moving forward, quietly and deliberately. I had no intention of being anyone's backup option. The house didn't feel hollow. It felt sharper. Cleaner. Then, on a Sunday night, John sent me a message. "Saw Rachel tonight." Didn't want to say anything, but she wasn't alone. I stared at the screen for a long moment before calling him. He explained that he'd run into her at a rooftop bar downtown. She was sitting with a guy, laughing freely, relaxed, her hand resting on his knee. From the way he described it, she seemed completely absorbed in that moment, like nothing else existed. He didn't stay long enough to be noticed. I didn't need details. Just confirmation. I thanked him and ended the call. There was no rage, no heartbreak, just a clear, cold understanding. 2 days later, Sarah texted me. "Hey, you didn't hear this from me, but Rachel's friend Alicia posted photos from a winery upstate. Rachel's in a few of them. There's a guy with her, Enzo, I think." I didn't recognize the name, but I didn't need to. So that's what space meant. 6 years together, and days after leaving, she was wine tasting with some guy named Enzo. What bothered me wasn't that she moved on, it was the deception. She framed it like a personal journey, like soul-searching. Not a trial run with someone new. The next day, I removed her from our shared streaming accounts and cancelled the extra phone line under my plan. Whatever excitement or attention Enzo provided, she was welcome to it. Because leaving is one thing. Lying on the way out makes everything that came before questionable. That night, I boxed up everything she'd left behind. Maybe it was the sense of closure, but I slept better than I had in months. When I woke up, she wasn't on my mind. What needed to happen next was. By the end of the third week, the quiet became something I appreciated. No passive-aggressive messages. No tense dinners. No pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I turned the guest room into an office and got rid of the dull furniture Rachel had insisted on buying. One afternoon, I drove to the gym to cancel the membership she'd been using, still connected to my account. The receptionist glanced at the screen, saw Rachel's name, paused briefly, then nodded as I asked her to remove it. No questions. No conversation. I don't know if Rachel noticed. She didn't complain, but she finally did send a text. "Hey, just checking in. How have you been?" I didn't reply. 4 days passed. Then she called. I watched her name glow on my phone screen. I wasn't trying to play games. I simply wasn't interested in making it easy for her to slip back into my life as if nothing had changed. One night, Sarah called again. She sounded careful, probably expecting sadness or resentment beneath my voice. Instead, I told her the truth. I was good. The house felt calm. Peaceful. Like it finally belonged to me again. I'd forgotten how focused I could be without emotional chaos humming in the background. She laughed and admitted she'd never really liked Rachel anyway. The truth was, I stopped missing her the moment I realized she didn't actually miss me. She wanted to explore. She just assumed I'd still be here if it failed. But I'd already rewritten the ending. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, I received an Instagram message request from someone named Enzo Navarro. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "Hey man. I know this is strange, but I think we need to talk. It's about Rachel." I stared at the screen. This was him, the guy she was finding herself with. I replied with a single word. "Why?" His response came almost instantly. "I didn't know you two were still together when it started. You deserve to know the truth. Can we meet?" The following day, I agreed to see him. We chose a cafe downtown. When I arrived, Enzo was already seated by himself, shoulders tense, face set like someone about to admit something heavy, not to excuse himself, but to come clean. I took the chair across from him. "Go ahead," I said. He looked up, uneasy. "Rachel told me you and she were finished. That it ended on mutual terms. She said she was only staying at your place temporarily while she figured out what came next." He stopped for a second. I stayed silent. "We slept together a few days before she moved out," he continued. "I honestly thought your relationship was over. That's how she presented it. I didn't realize the truth until later, that she was still messaging you like everything was normal." He shook his head slightly. I felt stupid. I gave a single nod. No anger. Just exhaustion. "Why come to me now?" I asked. He lifted his hands in a helpless shrug. "Because she lied to me too. And you deserve to know who you were dealing with." When we stood up to leave, I didn't offer a handshake. I simply walked out. It was Thursday night, exactly 4 weeks since she'd left, when Rachel appeared at the door. I wasn't surprised. The silence had stretched too long. Her return followed a script I'd already read. What she didn't know was that I'd already spoken to Enzo. I opened the door. She stood there with her hands tucked into her jacket pockets, face bare, hair pulled back, eyes worn down. "Hey," she said softly, like she was testing whether the words still worked. I said nothing. She shifted. "Can we talk?" I stepped aside without answering. She entered cautiously, glancing around like she was inside a stranger's home. "You changed things," she said. "Yeah." It felt overdue. She perched on the edge of the couch like a visitor. I stayed standing. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began. "About us. About everything." I let her continue. I let her build the version she'd rehearsed, unaware that I already knew the truth. Then she said it. "Enzo and I weren't serious. It didn't really go anywhere. I just needed something different for a moment, and it made me realize what I lost with you." I slowly turned my head toward her. You sure you want to stick with that story? She stiffened. What do you mean? I leaned forward, calm, measured. Because I met Enzo a few days ago. He told me everything. That you slept with him before you moved out. That you told him we were finished. And that you were still texting me while sharing his bed. Her mouth opened. No sound followed. Griffin, I didn't think you'd actually talk to him. No, I said evenly. You didn't think at all. You assumed I'd accept whatever explanation you gave me. That I'd still be here, waiting, hoping. Her eyes shimmered like she might cry. I felt nothing. You played us both. She stared down at the floor, silent, the weight finally settling in. Whatever version she'd planned to sell me had collapsed. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, she said quietly. I just needed clarity. Clarity usually doesn't involve winery trips with another man, I replied. It wasn't like that. Rachel, you don't need to keep lying. You chose your path. She leaned forward, voice soft and fragile. I didn't realize how empty it would feel without you. I thought I needed something else. I was wrong. I studied her for a long moment before asking the question that mattered most. If Enzo hadn't walked away, would you still be here right now? She didn't answer. That told me everything. Listen, I said. I'm not angry. You don't owe me a performance, and I don't owe you another chance. Her voice cracked. I know I ruined this. I know I hurt you. But you have to understand, I was confused. I needed space to figure things out. I made a mistake. I stepped into the hallway, pulled a small cardboard box from the closet, and placed it in front of her. I kept your things. Figured you'd ask for them eventually. She looked at the box, then back at me. So, that's it. That's it. You're not even going to let me explain more. I already listened, I said. All I heard was someone trying to reverse through a door they slammed shut. Tears pooled in her eyes. I thought you'd understand. I do, I replied. You thought I'd still be here. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. Not this time. She stood, lifted the box, and walked toward the door. Just before stepping outside, she turned back. I hope someday you forgive me. I already have, I said. That's why I'm not letting you back in. She nodded once and left without another word. After that night, she tried again. Texts. Missed calls. One email titled, "Please just read this." I never opened it. Somewhere in her mind, there was still a version of this story where I rewound everything and pretended she hadn't walked away to see if someone else might be better. I wasn't playing that part. A few days after she was gone for good, I had the bank close our shared savings account. I'd already moved my portion when she first left. What remained was hers, untouched. Not long after, Sarah called, speaking carefully, like she was delivering bad news. I heard Rachel's been bouncing around. Enzo ended things a while ago. She's staying with her cousin now. You okay? I'm better than okay, I said, and meant it. Work had found its rhythm again. Focused. Clean. Purposeful. I wasn't waiting for anyone's return. I was building forward. Rachel didn't stop immediately. She came by the house one last time, early evening. I didn't open the door. I watched through the camera as she stood on the porch holding an envelope. After a moment, she slid it into the mailbox and walked away. I never read it. I knew what it would say. I wasn't interested in recycled regret. Whatever fantasy she chased, she'd reached the end of it. The mistake was thinking the beginning would still be waiting when she came back. It wasn't. I'd burned that bridge and built a new one facing the opposite direction. No one really explains what closure looks like. It isn't always a conversation. It isn't always forgiveness shared face to face. Sometimes it's simply leaving, clean, final, quiet. Rachel walked away searching for better. Maybe she thought she'd return once she realized better wasn't out there. By then, I had become better for myself. No bitterness. No resentment. Just clarity. And if she ever wonders why I never responded, the answer is simple. Some people leave to find better. Others leave and discover they were the problem. Thanks for watching.